So today, let me introduce you to the concept of positive discipline. Okay, not an oxymoron. When you think about discipline, people never ever thought of it as being positive, but it works. The concept comes from this author called Jane Nelson, who say her work is actually based on the concept of the work of Alfred Adler, that all people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. That we can agree on, right? So the core principle of positive discipline is that there are no bad kids, just bad behavior. Wait, I can hear some of you screaming already. What do you mean no bad kids? Yeah, no bad kids, just bad behavior. Okay, so were you a bad kid before? I don't think so. You probably tell your children, when I was your age, whatever my mother tells me, I will do. Of course, we know, no, we have to take that with a pinch of salt. Anyway, if you were not the best kid, ever, it's not because of you being a bad kid. It's just you having some bad habits, right? That need to be gotten rid of. So the five key criteria of positive parenting is this. First, being kind and firm at the same time. I know you like the word firm, yeah, but you have to be kind at the same time, right? And positive discipline helps children feel a sense of belonging and significance. It's supposed to work and be effective long term. Yeah, that's why we want to practice positive discipline versus always using punishment in the Lord. Okay, so positive discipline teach children valuable social and life skills for good character, and invites children to discover how capable they are, and also that they can use their personal power in constructive ways. Now let's take a look at how you can actually implement this thing called positive discipline. First up, first up, you got to be positive yourself. You think of discipline and you're, oh no, this is such a headache and a heartache, huh? No, don't think of it that way. But positive discipline believes in choosing to develop good behavior rather than punishing bad behavior. How many times do you notice your children when they behave well, when they cooperated? Have you actually, highlighted it to them? But or rather you are always the one picking up what they have done wrong, and they treat you as if you're a traffic policeman. You know how people drive when they see a traffic policeman nearby, they just be very careful, and after the traffic policeman's gone, they start their bad habits again. So we really want to think of discipline as not so much how we can be there to watch over them, to control them, to see that they don't get things wrong, but we want to encourage them to see that, hey, you're capable of behaving well, you're capable of doing these things, and you want to encourage them and make them feel good about wanting to repeat that good behavior. So this is actually a very positive reinforcement. Okay, so discipline is also about teaching new skills. Actually, the root word of discipline is really, it comes from Latin word disciplina, which means instruction and training. So it's instruction and training. When you actually just punish the kid, I want to ask you, are you teaching the kid something? Or the child is learning, okay, if I get punished, right, if I get spanked because I misbehave, does it mean then if my younger sister misbehave, I can also spank my kid? I can spank my little sister. So they learn this sort of, they learn this kind of behavior. If they want to say, okay, I don't want you to behave that way, then maybe this is what I should do, right? So punishing, why do people resort to punishing? Like spanking, for instance, okay? There's always this question in my workshop, to spank or not to spank. I try not to get into this sort of argument, because there will be people who are really for it and there are people who are really against it. But let me say that whatever disciplinary method you are using, the first thing that you have to think about, you have to consider, is that, does it teach my child something? And whatever I'm teaching, do I want my children to learn it? I have had a father tells me, a 4-year-old with his 4-year-old son. The 4-year-old son was spending so much time on the television, on television watching the program. And the father came to him and said, hey, enough, it's about like 3-4 hours, and you shouldn't be watching too much TV. Of course, the kid didn't hear him, right? The 4-year-old kid was so engrossed in the program. So the father took the remote control and switch off, turn off the TV. The little boy looked up at him, snatched the remote control back, and turned on the TV. And then they did this a few more times until the father was very, very angry. Then the father decided that, okay, if it doesn't, get to you, you don't understand, I'm going to try something else. So he went to the room and threatened him with a cane. The child looked at the father, saw him with a cane. The child ran off to another room because they have another cane. And he took out another cane. And they were going to challenge. Okay. So I'm just thinking how effective is this kind of disciplinary matter. How about teaching your kid, right? Say if you see that there's bullying at home, the siblings not getting along, instead of punishing them, why don't you teach them how they can get along? Why don't you give them space for them to think about, if you want to play together, if you want to enjoy whatever toys that you're playing, then I need you to learn how to get along. And this is such a precious life skill, don't you think so? It's not just at home getting along with your siblings, but when they go out to school, when they go to school, or when they grow up, they go to work, they need to know how to get along. And children, I can tell you, you must give them more credit. They can be very creative if we allow them to. I remember my two kids. Now they are 27 and 24, but when they were younger, that must be about 10 and 6 years old. Yeah, they're fighting over toys. So as usual, there's goes screaming, "Mom!" and mom comes into attendance and say, "Yeah, what's the problem?" And they both will present the case as to who should be having that toy first, right? And I thought about it for a little while because it was like not the first time I had to you know face this sort of situation. So I said to both the boys, I said, it is really very unfair for me, if unfair to you also, for me to say, who is right and who is wrong, because I wasn't there when it happened. However, I think that as siblings, you should really learn to get along. And I don't think it's that the problem is so much with you guys than it is with the toy. And they look at me, huh? I say, yeah. You see, this toy is really the problem. It's causing, two brothers to fight. And so I say, let me settle the problem for you. And I went to the kitchen and I got a big Ziploc bag and I dropped the toy into the Ziploc bag and I lock it in the storeroom. And of course, they were, in a bit of a shock. Oh dear, they didn't expect, that it would turn out that way. And I said to them, don't worry. Okay, I'm going to lock it in the storeroom, just as a punishment, right? In prison for 24 hours. Tomorrow you'll be able to bail the toy out. So and I said to them, so if you have other toys that are giving you problems like this, just give me a call. I'll come and help you with it. And of course, after that, they were playing really, really quietly, happily, okay. The next day, they came to me and said, Mom, so can we have our toys? Yeah. And I said, yeah, remember we took the toy in at 5 o'clock, so 24 hours means that the toy gets to be released at 5 o'clock, but it was about 4:45. So I said, well, I guess you guys got to just sit down and wait 15 minutes. I tell you, those 15 minutes were so precious. It is not about, me being very rigid or whatever, you have to stay 5 o'clock, but I wanted them to learn. Well, if you don't want this thing to happen again, you better make sure that you learn how to negotiate, you learn how to get along and all. And I must tell you, I have never had to buy a duplicate set of toys. And some people say that, okay, if they fight, it's so easy, just give them each a set of toys. It doesn't work because you know what? One set of toys is going to break down first, and then you get a problem all over again. Besides, what am I teaching them? Yeah, okay. Now, of course, your disciplinary style will have a lot to do with your parenting style. So this is Bonrin's parenting, 4 parenting styles. You will have heard of the tiger mom, tiger dad, huh? That was the authoritarian parents. Very easy. High expectation, clear rules, very forceful. Punishment is the order of the day. The usual thing that the authoritarian tiger parents will say, because I said so. That is it. Okay, on the opposite end is the jellyfish parent, the permissive parent. Whatever you want, dear, whatever you want. Very low expectations, very few rules, whatever. If the child is happy, everybody is happy. Okay, it's good, I suppose, for a start, but as the child grow older, you're gonna get a problem, a big problem in your hands, right? And of course, there's the I would say the least ideal type of parenting style, the uninvolved parents. Too busy. I have got my own life. Okay, do whatever you want, right? The message that you bring across to the child is, I don't care. Now, an authoritative parent is a parent who allows discussion. Let's discuss this. More consultative, but also, mind you, they have high expectations, very clear standards, assertive, okay, so they are firm as well. But at the same time, they are flexible, democratic, responsive, and warm. Okay, so this is the best, the most ideal kind of parenting style. We see that the kids turn out a lot better than from the other parenting styles. Okay, so authoritarian parents, have a problem because whilst they have very high expectations of their children, yet they provide very little feedback or nurturance and actually shuts down the possibility of any discussion or input from the child. So the child tends to listen when they're young, but not really because they respect or they understand the rules, not so much as that they are very fearful of the punishment. Okay, so while the children are young, this style of parenting seems to work very well, but because they don't have the chance to internalize the self-discipline and responsibility, when they grow up into teenagers, it's not sustainable. So whatever you say to your kid, because I say so, or when they grow up, they will tell you the same thing because I said so. I want to do it that way. They learn. This is actually learned behavior. Okay. Now, if there are parents out there who have adolescents, the teenagers, and you're wondering what happened to my goody goody boy or girl, or who turned out to be like a monster now, being very rebellious. Let me just explain it for you, right? When the children are very young, mom and dad is basically just their world. Okay, so they seem to have a very wonderful, very nice view of the parents because like mom is like the best cook and dad is so clever, look, and dad is so strong and whatever, right? And that's when they were young. But you know what? As they grow up, they're going to change their mind. Just ask yourself now at your age, do you ever think that your parents are like smarter, better, or you are thinking that you the smarter and better ones? And maybe it didn't happen now. Maybe it happened when you were teenagers already, right? So because the young children they are not able to see the flaws of us as parents. However, for the teenagers, it becomes very clear to them that oh my parents are not as perfect as they are, as they say they were, and so and they will tend to react a little bit. Okay, but however, if you practice positive discipline, it's been shown to lead to greater trust between parents and children, and because of your positive discipline, there is improved communication. And the wonderful thing is, it is report that is lower instances of childhood depression, yeah, compared to the harsher discipline styles. So the number one thing that parents complain when they try to discipline the kid is that they don't listen, right? Did you always say that? But then I want to tell you something. Teenagers tell us the same thing. Our parents don't listen. Well, it's going to do with the way that we talk to them. Yeah. Think about the number of times when we talk to our children in a day. How much of these are delivered as strict commands? Do this, do that, don't do this, or whatever. Why you like that? How much of it is criticism? And if you were to be at the receiving end of this kind of communication, would you be very happy to comply? Would you be very happy to listen? No, I'll think not. So it's important for us as parents to realize that how we say things is more important than what we say. Okay, I have never encouraged parents to say this word stupid, but if you have to say that, right? Say if I say to my child, my, what a stupid thing to do. Okay, that's one way. Or, my, what a stupid thing to do. The tone of voice makes such a difference. Yeah. But sometimes, you know what? We have to call a spade a spade. The things that they do can be stupid and at the same time dangerous. I guess it's the tone of voice when they deliver it that they sense that whereas you are telling them that thing you disapprove of, and that it is not right, but there is so much love and concern involved. Okay, I'll give you an example. Father was, on his off day, he was sitting with the toddler. Okay, was just reading a book, but the toddler was sitting on a typist chair, the kind of spin around, which is anyway not a very good idea, right? But the toddler, after playing for a little while, thought that it was a good idea to stand up. Sitting down spinning is not so much fun as standing up spinning. And so she went to spin around one or twice, and the dad said, "No, don't do that, Tiffany. You will fall down." Okay, so Tiffany listens, sits down. Now that gets back to his book again another time, right? Tiffany does it, and two, three times. The third time when she actually spun herself around, she fell. If you were the parent, if you were Tiffany's dad, what would you have said? I salute this dad because the dad picked up Tiffany, hugged her, pat her on the back and said, "Tiffany, Tiffany, why didn't you listen to dad?" See what a difference it made. If the child would think about it when she grows up and she think that there was one time, she did this, she didn't obey her dad, but dad, instead of screaming and yelling at her, dad said to her, "Why did you listen to me?" Of course, if he comes to me, I would say in the first place, don't even, allow this thing to happen at the onset, bring her away from the chair, no more spinning on the chair, right? But anyway, it makes such a difference. Has somebody in your growing up years say something to you very nicely, even though you deserve a punishment? Do you still remember that fondly? Do you still remember that person fondly? For us, most, I would say that I myself did that too, my child got lost in a shopping mall and I was so anxious. But when I finally found him, I'm like, where did you go? Say, my the child got so frightened and he begins to cry. But when I did that, it was because I was overly anxious, but I was not able to regulate our emotions. So, lesson 101, parents must learn how to regulate their emotions, not to express ourselves in such a way that our children will not be able to understand that we care for them so much, we love them so much, and that's why we are so anxious. You know how we used to tell them, "Well, I'm telling you this for your own good." Well, make it sound better, mom. If you really really mean it for my good, yeah, good idea. Okay, now get real. Get real. Parent the child you have, not the one that you wish you had. Stop comparing your child to the neighbor next door. Why is it that she can sit down and do her homework on her own and you can't? And why is it your cousin and so on and so forth? All right. You Everyone wants to have that perfect child, right? The child who knows how to wake up on time to get ready for school, packs her own bag, yeah, always knowing what to do. But I would say that that is a very low percentage. If you have that kind of child, be very, very pleased. Consider yourself very blessed. But most of the time, our children are not like that. So never mind. Set realistic expectations. Oh, does it mean that, Esther, that we're going to scale down our expectations and not want to, help our child be able to achieve, certain standards? Oh, no, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you're going to set your expectations realistically, number one. Number two, what are you doing to support your child to be able to achieve the goal that you set up, right? Like, for instance, if you're running a marathon, so how do you go about preparing for a marathon? You don't just run that. Let me see. I think it's 42 km plus. Yeah, I think the marathon is like that. You don't start off with the 42 km. You can't. You start off maybe the first week with 5 km, and you practice over 3-4 weeks or so, and you think you're able to do it. Then you go for 8 km and 10 km, slowly building up until you are ready for the 42 km. So if you have a goal for your child, and your child is not quite there yet, do you have a plan in place to bring them step by step? Okay, let's achieve this first. Okay, this is the first milestone. Let's see now if it's achieved. Now we go for the second milestone and getting there instead of complaining about them. Think that's a good idea? I think so. Anyway, you must remember that feelings has a lot to do with behavior. You know how when your child is very happy and they feel good, they tend to behave a lot more. They tend to cooperate with you a lot more. Yeah. And I'm not saying that you become a Disney pet land parent so that you just make them happy all the time. But I'm saying that you got to look after them, their emotional need as well, right? Okay. So one of the ways you can do that is to foster connections by spending quality time with your children, right? Sometimes, with the circuit breaker, I know you had to also deal with home-based learning, but I hope you are happier now that they have, the holidays have started, so it's like less stress. But do carve out time to spend with your children, playing with them, because to them, their whole self-esteem is really based on how the parents look at them, especially when they're young. So when you play with them, you're saying to them, look, I think you're important. I think you're valuable, even though I've got work to do. But spending time with you is really important because you're my child, and it's not based on whether you do well or not. Sometimes we parents can be very performance oriented. Oh, I'm not gonna play with you. See, you didn't even do your homework properly. Oh, look, that is separate, right? Their homework should be done properly. You should have certain expectations and they should meet the expectations. And again, remember how you work towards supporting them in achieving that goal. But playtime, happy time together, quality time together should not be tied into their behavior performance, at all. Of course, you can, take away some of the privileges if they don't do what they have to do. There's always the golden rule. If they don't do what they have to do, they don't get to do what they want to do. Use family meals, even mealtime, not just to feed their bodies, to feed their souls as well. And if you say, somebody asked me, well, how much quality time is supposed to be? It is supposed to be how much? How do you quantify quality time? I'm like, well, quality time means you enjoy being with your children, and your children, remember, your children enjoy being with you. But quantity, well, you may not have a lot of time in your hands. Some of you maybe work very long hours, but you can weave these times into meal times, spend time chatting, talking, asking them about how is their day, asking about what they enjoy most and things like that. Not using meal times to ask them about their schoolwork. How's your spelling? Are you prepared? And all those stuff. Okay, leave it for another time, all right? A meal time to get a happy time. So that can also be quality time. Even now, my children are now grown up, but after dinner, we will hang around for about 20 minutes or so just to chit chat a little bit. And I think it's really very valuable. Now that they're all grown up, we don't really have time. I can't do storytelling, okay? One of the things I think is my magic formula is storytelling during bedtime. I don't do it like you see here in this picture. I actually have the lights off, and then I will tell stories from my memories. And when the lights off, everybody is kind of relaxed and we are laugh and all. And at first, my husband didn't understand that. Yeah. When they were young, right? So we would like spend 1 hour chit chatting before we actually get to sleep. And that is like, why do you have to talk so much? Getting ready to sleep. Sleep is not just an action, an activity, something you need to a task to accomplish. Sleep is really a time for you to unwind, relax. And having that, I spend I think about an hour talking to them. So it is very precious. In fact, we did it right up to when they were secondary two. I think when my eldest child was secondary two, and then we were still talking. And after they've grown up, at 18 years old, I remember my child coming back running when he came home at around 11 something, and he came into my room and said, "Mom, are you asleep yet?" And I lights are off already, but I said, "Okay, I'm not." And he just, you know, talk to me about what he did, show me the video of his dancing and stuff like that, because they are so used to the connection. Do you connect with your child that way? That they are actually very eager to tell you what is in their heart, what is in their day, what they think of certain things. Do they do that? Do you provide a chance for them to do that? They so much want to express themselves, but remember they are children, so they can be very immature, and the way they express may not be most ideal, but then we can also guide them. Yeah, we can show them when I share with them my day, how it was for me and all, right? So they can also learn from us. Yeah. We can connect with them, of course, through shared activities. One of the things my husband like to do is, get my child to help him assemble furniture. We like to buy furniture from IKEA, bookcases, whatever. And from a young age, I think he was about 6 years old, 6 or 7 years old, he has already become a bit of a handyman. Of course, the hard work we will still do. We don't let him handle the the electric drill. But with screwing in the screws and all those things, he's great help. And then now I find that he's got these skills. When he has to assemble anything, he can really do it on his own. So you are using that opportunity to also connect, that they feel that they're part of the family. That's very important. I make my boys help us to wash the car, because it's a family car, right? They get to ride in the car, and why shouldn't they help out with the washing? Sure enough, when they're younger, they make a mess more than they are really washing. But the idea is that, look, everybody take part in caring, for the vehicle, caring for the home, household chores. You all get to share. And I remember my young son getting very excited about breaking eggs. When they're young, right, they have a problem trying to break that so-called perfect egg. So every time when I need to cook an egg, I say, okay, come dear, this is your chance to try your hand and break an egg. And after he tried a few times and finally he make it a success, he was like, oh, I broke a perfect egg. Okay, fine. So I remember taking a picture for him and then recording the date and the time that, my son broke a perfect egg on this. To that is an achievement, but to to them is also such a fond memory. Yeah. Okay. When you're disciplining, okay, so sometimes you really got to take action, isn't it? Like if they are on the screen, they're on the computer, right? Every workshop I attend is always this concern. Excuse me. A child plays on the computer like non-stop, and whatever you tell him, he's not listening to you. It's same as the guy who is on the child is on the TV. They're so engrossed in the game, right? And you don't blame them for that. When you see your child playing basketball, you never did say, oh, just have fun. No, don't be too engrossed, don't be too into it. You weren't. So likewise, when they're on the computer games, they will be very engrossed in it. They play to win, right? There's nothing really wrong with that. But if you haven't had agreed time, a schedule for them, like you tell them, okay, you are going to play for 2 hours, and they just get on, they just get carried away. To be very fair, we adults get carried away too, right? You say that, oh, I probably just spend 20 minutes on your email, and then by the time you realize it, you probably already wasted 2 hours on all kinds of everything, email, YouTube, and the whole junk. Okay, so here's the father. That was a teenage boy. Yes, a teenage boy. Was on the computer, I think maybe easily for 5 6 hours. Dad says, hey, time to have dinner, no? Aren't you going to join us for dinner? No response from the kid. Ask again, no response. So the dad thought, oh, this is a very good idea to just unplug. Uh-huh. The child was not listening, and he was like absorbed in his own world. But once he see a blank screen in front of him, and he was going to like conquer another continent already, and suddenly there's a black screen. The child rose up and showed the father a fist. And the father was said that he was shocked, because this is like a very docile boy. He's never, been violent, he's never been rude or anything. So he was very, very shocked by it. But of course, this was like at that time it just triggered the kind of emotion in the boy. But thankfully, this father, was very wise. He refused to continue the whatever argument. The father just said, okay, we'll talk about this, another time. And so he went away. So it didn't turn ugly. But hey, if you want to discipline, timing is everything. Okay, so I had the privilege of listening to him, so I, learned from him. Same thing. That was my son, also teenager, and that was like past midnight. I usually do not allow them to play on the computer. Well, from Mondays to Fridays, but on Saturdays and Sundays, I kind of relax a little bit. Okay, but I know for you nowadays it's difficult. Now that we are moving into a smart nation and we are always using the screen for our work, homework, and all, so it's a bit hard. Okay, that was during my time. So was about I think 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. in the morning. He was still on the computer. Yeah, I know it was a holiday, but still. And I said to him, "Hey," I say, I think it's about time you stop because it is 2 a.m. in the morning. You need to get some sleep, even though it's the weekend, it's a holiday, right?" And he basically just waved me off. He didn't say anything, but he gave me a look that's like, "Oh, come on, get off my back," kind of thing. It's 2 a.m. And I'm thinking, should I go and fight with him with that? Maybe not a very good idea anyway. So it's going to end up he getting very angry and I getting very upset as well. So I said, okay, fine, never mind. I'll go to sleep. And the next morning, I wake up at 6 o'clock, knowing that after he had worked so hard through the night, battling conquering one country after another, he would not wake up at 6 o'clock. So I woke up at 6 o'clock and I basically removed the keyboard from the desktop. The hours then we use the desktop. So I was thinking, okay, fine. He's gonna talk to me later on when he notices. I was so surprised. Early in the morning when he woke up, um, he was brushing his teeth. And when he saw that the keyboard was not there, he came to me with the toothbrush in his mouth and I said, okay, never mind, dear. You're still brushing your teeth. Let's talk about this later on now. Okay. So we finished. And then now he's cool. You know why? Because he wasn't playing the game, it's no longer a very heated moment. And I sat down with him and I talked to him very nicely and I said, it's this thing about the desktop, it's about the computer and about the games. I mean, I let you play games because I thought that this is something that is good for your recreation, you enjoyed it. But if it becomes for me both a headache and a heartache, then I think I need to do something about it. So then we go through our agreement and I say, so what are we going to do now? I'm not going to keep the keyboard for long, but I'm going to let you play a game. But we must have some rules in place, right? We have an agreement. And then we talk about it. And so after that, I wrote it out. I wrote it out, the agreement on paper and make him sign. So that he will remember. The next time I have to remind him, I'll just flash the agreement in front of his face. Say, look, this is what we agree upon, right? It cut down a lot of arguments. How children can just say yes to you and then the next day then they act as if they don't remember. So this is just not being regimental, but I think it's going to be very helpful, for your parent-child relationship. But of course, remember, it's really about relationship. The stronger relationship you have, the easier it is for you to discipline. If you don't have a relationship going, I would say to you, first, get connected. Get connected. If the person doesn't even want to listen to you, how are you going to enforce any kind of discipline? I mean, without you getting, all upset and angry, and then, I did have children run away from home, and that is really very sad. But we reserve it for the next time when we talk, okay? So another thing you gotta know is atmosphere is a big thing, okay? My husband and I like to come back home, and the moment we open the door, before we see our children, we announce to them, honey, we are home. You see, when we do that, we are setting the tone for the atmosphere. I want them to feel that when I come back, good things are going to happen. We are going to, enjoy our time together. And I'm not going to make them feel that the moment I come back, my kids have to sit up straight. Oh no, am I going to be criticized? Am I going to be punished? And stuff like that. No, when I come back home, it is good. It is a wonderful time for us to spend time together as a family. There are problems to be resolved naturally, but I'm not going to come back home and immediately start screaming. And I see some people doing that. No wonder the kids run away, hide in the bathroom and all. I mean, it's not going to be very healthy. So I also see my neighbors with young children now during this sort of even during this holiday. It's kind of twisted kind of holiday because the children don't really get to go out and do those holiday kind of things. But the parents actually put a tent in the balcony, so they pretended that they are like having a camping, but it's in the balcony. Then a father blowing bubbles with the daughter. Okay, this is from the from Google Images, okay? Not that I take pictures of my neighbors. Don't do that. Yeah, atmosphere is a big thing. When let your atmosphere be filled with joy, with happiness, your children, will tend to respond accordingly. Okay? Then let's come to some more practical stats, right? One parent told me that she always charge her iPhone or her iPad, whatever tablet that the children use to play, not to the full. It's always at 30% or so that by the time the children start playing, it will only be for 1-2 hours and battery's out, so there's no argument. But of course, there are some people say that is not a very good thing because it's about the electronic signals and all. So here is another one. This app is called Dinner Time Plus, and you can actually download it for free. I'm not so sure if they charge for the premier services, but for this basic one, it's for free. So if you set the time at a certain time, it's dinner or it's rest time, whatever, the phone is cut off from the internet. So it saves you a lot of trouble, in trying to enforce this. Yep. Okay. And remember setting the tone. I talk about when you are either communicating with a teenager or not necessarily a teenager, even with a child, communicating with a child. And sometimes it is important for you to just step back and control your emotions, right? So here is an example I show you. This is my son sending me a text, and that was late in the night, right? Wasn't it? It was 11 something. He said, "Might stay over if it ends too late." As a mom, the first thing I think of is, what do you mean by might? And who are you staying over with? But if I want him to respond, positively to me, then I need to be able to communicate it across in such a way. So this is what I say. Oh, we will miss you. And then who are you with? And you see the heart shape as well. And represents, love. Okay. So here is his answer, J, right? And then because this is his daily duty, he knows that he hasn't done it. So we'll clear poop in the morning. All right. And I say, okay, take care, be good, love you. And you see the arrow that point to that message that comes back, love you. I am guiding this conversation. I want it to end that way. Will I talk to him about, please don't, send me last minute notification when you are not coming back or staying over and stuff like that. But that was not the right time to do it. I've got to wait. I've got to wait for him when he comes back and say, we maybe need to discuss this a little bit, huh? Okay. But it ended well. Another thing you got to do is to be able to manage defiance. As children grow up, somehow they just pick up along the way. Did they learn from us? I'm not so sure, but being defiant. The thing is, you got to address the real issue and learn not to react to the emotions and learn how to model the response. So here is a real life example. That was my son at 15 years old. Okay, I went to attend a session at his school. There's a school talk on effective discipline. When I came back home, it was about 9:30, and I saw him. I saw my door, the gate and door open, and there's him standing there, looking like this, with this kind of stance. I was like, wow, what's going on? No, and I looked at me, and he said to me, "So now you learn how to discipline me already, yeah?" I was like, Oh goodness, that was really unexpected and was uncalled for. But I remember what I taught others, that we really have to apply it. So I paused for a little while, and as you can hear me, I am quite a speedy talker, right? I will go, but this time I slow down my speech and I said to him, "Oh, no, actually, the speaker taught me a few things about discipline. That, there are some things that we do that is not going to be very helpful for our children. And also, how we can actually show love in a way that our children can perceive." And after I said that, I can see the hostility melted from his expression, and he just walked away sheepishly because it was really unexpected as well. He didn't, expect me to respond that way. So I actually disarmed him in a very gentle manner. And later on, I think he sent me a message that says sorry, right? He didn't say to me sorry, but he sent me a message. That's fine. You see, when your child is acting out, if you want to use that word, acting out, acting up, okay, um, you're gonna know what is the real issue. When he said to me, "So you don't have to discipline me already, yeah?" It is really the fear in him. See, we already have some house rules, right? And he was very afraid. Now, mom goes and attend this class on effective discipline. We are going to have more house rules. And that's what is also fearful. So he's responding that way. There is an emotional outburst. But I, as a parent, I am not reacting to his outburst as much as I'm responding to the root issue. That is his fear. And at the same time, I take the opportunity to model the response. This is how you deal, with people who are angry. You don't get angrier because what is going to happen if he scream at me and I scream at him? And we find it happening, a lot of times because the person thinks that if you can't hear me, I got to speak louder, and the other person also think that, oh, you can hear me, I speak louder, and then it is, it gets into a cycle of like who is louder than the other, and in the end, nobody is listening to nobody. The only people who know what's going on are your neighbors. We can hear the both sides, right? Okay, so we want to think about that. I also want to think about, of course, it was very helpful in that, it was like kind of like late in the night, and then he has his door wide open, and I was very aware that my neighbors could hear. So it's helpful, isn't it, for us to have some, sense of accountability. That's all. Yeah. So another thing you can do is you can hold family meetings to address problems and concerns. Yeah, keep your children involved in the issues brought up in the meeting. Make sure to frame the issue as a we problem rather than a you problem, you and whatever. When we get them involved, we actually getting their commitment. Hey, look, we've been always having problems with who's doing the dishes. It's like every night after dinner, this is always a problem. So we are getting everybody's input as to how we are going to settle this problem. So have the children participate, yeah, in this kind of discussion. Let them have some kind of ownership, hmm, on whatever problem that you're facing. Over homework as well, say, okay, I have had calls from a teacher to say that your homework is not done or it's not properly done. So now we have this problem. What do you think we should do? What do you think we can do to help you, not to get into this problem? So everybody, get to play a part in resolving the issue, and they tend to be less, I would say, defensive when I tell them that this is a we problem rather than a you problem. And also try to focus on solutions when you're doing your parenting, right? Yeah, instead of always trying to threaten them with consequences, try to keep things cooperative. Yeah, okay. So alter your normal style, right? I have one child who tends to not be very would I say diligent? Okay, correct. Diligent, okay, yeah. In doing his homework. Okay, but he's a very charming guy. Likes to play, likes to interact with people, and all that is the beautiful part about him. But when it comes to homework, well, he is not that sort of person to sit down and do his homework till he finishes, okay, right? So there is always many reasons as to why the homework is not done. So when I tell him, okay, get this done before I come back, but when I do come back home and check on his homework, there are many reasons as to why the homework is not done. Um, he got hungry. The cat came to disturb him. Just had a stomach ache, whatever. All right. And then we end up having this kind of argument because this is what he said he went through, and I will try very hard to try and prove to him that no, this is not what it is. So I've decided that, okay, since I can't have time to be with you, to supervise you, why don't you do that, boy? Just do capitalize on it. Yeah. Maximize it. Yeah. Use it for your playtime. When I'm not around doing homework with you, you just have a lot of fun. But when I come back and when I'm seated with you, this is it, right? Okay, is homework through and through, no more playtime. Yeah, and it works out well for me. At least it cut down a lot of my screaming and yelling. Another example would be dad and I were going out. So dad and mom going out, right? So dad left the laundry that is folded nicely uh, in the living room in front of the television set, and then pasted a big piece of art block paper on the television set saying that clear your laundry, keep your clothes before you watch TV. So those were the instructions given, and then we went out. When we came back, Dad was really upset because the laundry was still there. All the clothes were not kept, but the paper that blocks the TV set flipped over already. And so I told him to say, okay, don't be upset. Let me try it. Okay, so we're going to go out again. And I wrote another piece of paper and did the same thing and stuck it on the TV set. And we went out. And you know what? I got a call from the kids. Mom, when we were out, Mom, we have kept the clothes already. Good. Why? Did it work for me now and did it work for my husband earlier? See, it is really what I wrote on a piece of paper. I said, keep your clothes, darlings, and then call me and ask me where to find the cable TV card. So it works like, of course, now we have got Netflix and all. Yeah, and we cut down a lot of all this screaming and yelling. You are the parent, and this is like not your first time experiencing whatever your child will come up with, the excuses and all those things. You gotta just sit down, think a little bit, and strategize. Okay, you gotta strategize. You gotta help your child to behave a certain way because they know that it's good for them, but sometimes you've got to provide the scaffolding guiding them to do the right thing, right? So we're gonna have time for Q&As. Other questions coming in yet? Okay, so do's and don'ts. One thing you shouldn't do is don't scream. All the S, scream. Don't scream. Don't shout. Screaming and shouting, not the same thing. Screaming is, oh, why don't you kids ever listen to me? The kind is all emotional. Shouting, go on, come on, it's time to shower, go shower. Okay, shouting. Saying things, especially things that you regret. I have no idea where did I get a kid like that. Again, another emotional thing. But things that are of no value, no use, no positive impact on the child. I remember one time I said to my kid, yeah, we had a dinner, and then when dinner was done, they all stood up, and I saw that on my younger son's plate, there was some rice left over for Asians, we are very particular of this, right? We finish every bit of food. And I called his name and I said to him, why you still haven't finished your food? You know how many, and the usual stories of hungry people out there and da da da. So, but before I could finish, the elder brother called the younger brother by name and simply said to him, go finish your food. And the younger boy went to the table, did exactly that, and then turned around and said to me, Mom, you should be talking like my elder brother. I said, oh well, I guess so. I guess I'm gonna learn as well, right? So knowing the thing is one thing, but really applying it requires effort. But hey, give yourself a break. It's not like you've been training all your life, to learn how to be a parent. So give yourself a break. You're learning, but we learn. That's the important thing, right? Okay. What you should do is all the C's: be cool, be calm, collected. Yeah. One time, my husband came back. I saw the floor covered with toys, and usually he would get very mad, but that was one of his very good mood days, right? The toys scattered all over the floor, but the two players or the two generals, right? That was a battlefield. They have left to play some other things. So he went into the room and saw them and said to them, hey boys, I'm going to clean up the living room a little bit. I'm going to sweep the floor. If you have any toys that maybe you don't want, you can leave them there. I'll help you clear them. I tell you, it's within 5 seconds, the two boys rush out to clear the toys. See, when you're cool, when you're calm, and you're collected, you actually get the results you want. I always remember that. I tell these stories over again. I can't, I would have done a better job than him, right? Okay. But in order to be able to be cool and calm and collected, you need to exercise self-care. Yeah, it's good to look after your family, but how about looking after yourself, right? Yeah, okay. The recharging part. The children also have to understand that you are at home. It doesn't mean that you are at their beck and call at their service. So tell them this is meal time. You're supposed to finish your food, and I do have kitchen opening and closing hours. Don't expect me to just come up with something for you to eat because you are hungry at odd times, right? Okay. Of course, you will say that, oh yeah, what if my kids get hungry? Very easy, right? Give them the proper meal. Make sure they are able to finish it, and it's the food that they don't really grossly dislike. That will be another topic, but okay, make sure they finish your food. And if they don't get it, okay, just keep some biscuits, but don't buy those good quality biscuits. Buy those biscuits that they really, really have no interest in. But it's just in case they are very hungry, they have something to take the edge of the hunger. So the first day they don't get it, second day they don't get it. I tell you, by the third day they should more or less will be more willing to comply. So let me tell you something good about what the research says about positive parenting. Where is this? Okay. So numerous studies have shown that teenagers who perceive their parents as both kind and firm, remember the authoritative kind of parenting, they are at a lower risk for smoking, use of drugs, use of marijuana, use of alcohol, or being violent, and have a later onset of sexual activity. There are other studies that correlated the teens' perception of parenting style with improved academic performance. So see, instead of screaming and yelling and threatening them with a cane to get their homework finished, maybe you would want to try positive discipline. What are you, trying to teach your children during this circuit breaker period, right? I have already prepared for my family a journal. It will record our circuit breaker treasured memories. I want to be able to share with my grandchildren, right? How we survive this thing, right? I want to make it a cheerful story. Not everything is, as rosy as we want it to be, but they are still treasured memories. Before I want to show you one more thing. Okay, people in temperate climate, they understand seasons, right? There's spring and summer and autumn and winter. In Singapore, of course, we also have seasons. We have three seasons, right? Hot, hotter, hottest, but never mind. So, but the people understand that at different seasons you do different things. Like for instance, during summer, you can't you can't like make a snowman, okay? Yeah, and during winter, you probably wouldn't want to go swimming and play in the sand. So teach your child during this period, it is a season. The circuit breaker or whatever is going to come, we have no idea, right? They tell you that there may be another wave of that sort of thing, but never mind. So this season, there are certain things that we can't do. But what about the things that we can do? And how do we cope with seasons like this when we are not, we are restricted in doing certain things? How can we make the very best out of it? And in so doing, you are really teaching your children resilience. You are really telling them that, hey, don't let the challenge get you down. It can be challenging, and yet we can overcome. And yet we can have fun, and yet we can look at it as it is just going to be a phase, and it shall pass. It shall all pass. And I think it's a very good attitude to adopt throughout life. Don't you think so? Yeah. So, well, I just want to thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed my session on disciplining your children positively during the COVID-19 outbreak. So, from all of us at Families for Life, stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy, everyone, until we meet again. Bye bye.